Welcome to Openly Spoken, the podcast to help you show up, speak out, and be seen in healthy relationships. On this show, we talk about self-love, sexuality, relationship tips, including ending the cycle of toxic relationships, and healing and thriving after heartbreak. Hi, I'm your host, Celia, and I am a certified sex, love, and relationship coach, helping ambitious women with a history of toxic relationships feel deeply connected in healthy love. These are such important topics that every woman deserves, so if you could leave this show a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify to help more women find this, it would mean the absolute world to me. Thank you so much for being here today. Now let's dive into the show. Welcome to Openly Spoken, the podcast to help you show up, speak out, and be seen in healthy relationships. Today's guest is Darla Radilla. Darla is a certified somatic trauma-informed coach, relationship expert, speaker, and podcaster with lived experience in overcoming narcissistic abuse. Her own healing journey from trauma and toxic relationships has fueled her passion for helping women reclaim their power and find fulfillment in their lives and relationships. By focusing on the nervous system, Darla guides her clients to process past trauma, rebuild self-worth, and embrace their personal strength. Yay! Welcome to the show, Darla.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here today.
Hey, I'm excited to have you. How's my volume now? Are you hearing me better?
A little bit, yeah. It's a little bit better.
I got to figure out what's going on with that. My husband set me up with this whole sound stuff, and I don't understand it one bit. I just plug it in and go.
As a new podcaster who just started doing video myself, It's okay. We'll figure it out as we go.
What's funny is that, I've been podcasting for 4 years, and he got me this 4 years ago, and he's like, look up videos on YouTube about this thing. And I'm like, I'm like, you set it up, it works. I don't need to do that.
I love you as someone to set it up. I love it. I need someone like that.
But now I'm like, maybe I should learn about it because I've had issues the last couple of recordings where my voice is low. Luckily, I've been able to edit it, so. But still, it'd be nice to not have to adjust the volume. Yeah. So welcome to the show. That was a little tangent.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Before we dive into the meat of today's episode, I'm curious, what are you coming in with today? What is it like to be you today?
Oh, wow. Well, let's see. To be quite honest, today, what it's like to be me is my head is spinning on my head. I feel like the exorcist right now. So I just decided a couple of weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago, that I was going to move from Arizona to Colorado. So I'm in the process of doing that. Yeah. While I'm trying to keep all the balls in the air.
When do you move?
Sometime in March. The apartment is being renovated. Some new flooring is being put in, but probably the second week of March, I'm moving.
Oh, man. Yeah. I feel you a little bit. We're about to move to Ohio.
See? Yeah. And I think it's a bigger move. I'm just going from a couple states over. No big deal.
Yeah. Arizona and Colorado are close compared to Ohio and California.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. But it's stressful because with scheduling stuff, you probably don't even really know when you're available for a certain chunk of time. You're like, I don't know my availability for these weeks or this month.
Yeah, it's going to be a balancing act. I actually put off scheduling any more guests that weren't on the books till after April 15th, because what's going to end up happening is somebody's going to have to be rescheduled.
Yeah.
But I've had to learn that that's okay. Previous Darla would have been very upset, like I'm letting them down, where now I've had to realize it's okay to have my own priorities.
Yes.
It's okay. And I'll just be honest about why I'm doing it. And I'm sure most people understand these things.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. People are very understanding. Yeah. Can you not hear me?
I can't hear you at all now.
Oh, weird. What is happening? Hold on. Maybe there's something that's unplugged. Or maybe I just have to talk like directly into this. No?
No.
What is going on? I didn't mute myself. Oops.
Okay. Now I'm starting to hear you. I was making sure it wasn't me too, that it wasn't my headphones.
Okay.
I hear
I'm
you
also gonna
now.
try. I'm also changing my entire like my settings on my computer. I'm just changing it to this and this in case that affects it. I don't know. My husband's not home, so he can't help.
It's all right. If I were there, I'd help you. I don't know how much help I'd be, but I would try.
Yeah, okay. So this is really like showing me I need to look up how to use a, what is it called? Focusrite is the like, I mean the mic is a Rode mic, but then it's plugged into this special thing. Two things actually. And I
Yeah.
don't know what they are, but my husband's like, you need this for the sound to sound good. I'm like, okay.
I think I know what you're talking about. It's like a little box, and I've seen some of the
Yes.
training videos. Yeah, mine's just right into my computer.
Yeah. That sounds easier.
Yeah, well, I don't know how the quality is compared to that, but it works.
Yeah. So I have these questions that I ask people
Yes.
at the end, and since we're going to share like your breakup story today, I thought maybe we should ask the questions first because
Okay.
they could maybe lead into your story, and that way we don't have to like stop your story if it's not complete yet.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay. So the first question is, what does self-love mean to you?
For me, self-love isn't the Pollyanna, oh, I love myself kind of love. It's more about getting to know who you are, accepting who you are. I've always been a rebel. I am a square peg in a round hole, and it took me 55 years to figure it out that it's okay. I don't have to be like everybody else. I think self love is really about that, embracing who you are, doing things for yourself, self care.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I love that. And what makes
Yeah.
you feel the most grounded?
Two things. One is being in nature. I absolutely love hiking. There's hiking here in Arizona, but there's something about the trees, like in Colorado, those big ponderosa pines that are
Mm,
so,
I
and
can
I
smell
do
them.
always touch the trees. Yeah, you can smell them, the pine. I always put my hands on the bark because there is an energy that I get from that. Little
Yes.
woo woo, but yes, I do.
I do that
The other
too.
thing, oh,
I'm
good.
always
So I'm
like,
not alone.
thank you for
Official
giving
tree
us
hugger.
oxygen. Yes.
Yeah. And the other thing is music. Music's always been a really big part of my life. My parents were both musicians. My brother's a full-time musician, and I am one as well. And so singing, getting on stage, I get in the zone. Like I have
Nice.
stage fright in the moment, but there's
Hmm.
also, it's kind of like a roller coaster ride. You're in line and you're really, really scared. But when you're on it, this huge adrenaline rush hits you and you're like, let's do it again. That's kind of
Mm,
what performing is for me.
mm, hmm. I love that. So you said that you sing and that your
Mhm.
like music is a big part of your life. I'm just curious as someone else who I love music.
Mhm.
Um, what are some of your favorite artists?
Yeah, Jewel, number 1. I've seen her in concert 3 times. I
Nice.
would go again. I'm a really big fan of Joe Bonamassa because 'cause I'm a big blues fan, so
Hmm.
I really want to
I
see
don't know who
him.
that is, but I'm gonna type
Oh,
him Joe
fantastic. Joe,
Bonamassa,
yeah,
and then
he's very, very good.
I typed him in so I can look at it after our chat.
Oh, cool. Yeah, and BB King was a big blues. I got to see him live in Boulder. He was fantastic. Let's see, another favorite for me would be, on the countryside, Miranda Lambert.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Nice. I've heard of her.
yeah. Uh-huh.
It's wild.
Yeah.
There's so many musicians and so many songs that you could discover someone new every day.
Mhm.
Um, I have a Spotify account, but growing up, you know, I mean, you're aware of this. Like growing up, we had to like physically buy music. So like if you
Hmm.
didn't physically buy the thing, you weren't going to hear that album unless they had a single on the radio. So it's been really fun to have a Spotify account and to like find songs that are brand new to me, but it's like an album from 1970.
Yeah. And that's my time. But what's cool is like I have an iTunes account where I have access to anything I want. And I
Nice.
love that. It isn't like when we had to buy records or CDs or cassettes or eight
Yeah.
tracks, which is my generation.
I have some cassettes because
Do you?
yeah, because sometimes I like to put my phone on airplane mode and I like don't want to be bothered by
Yeah.
technology. But the
Yes.
first time I did that, I was like, "Oh, I want to play a song." And then I'm like, "Oh, wait, I need internet to do that."
Right.
And then I'm
Yeah.
like, "I don't have any music in my house without internet." So I bought some cassettes out of all things. Like I could have bought records or CDs, but I'm like, cassettes are cool. Let me buy a couple of those.
Yeah, they were great until the tape got all like into the and it's always in the one in your car that like the cassette
Yeah.
tape would get all raveled and
Luckily that hasn't happened, but I remember seeing
yeah.
that like on the side of the highway as a kid, like all the time, just like
Yeah.
ribbons.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So a big thing that we talk about on this show is how to heal after heartbreak, and breakups is one of those most common heartbreaks when you're talking about relationships. And so I would love if you can share what you have been going through and kind of what you've been learning about yourself and all of those things. Anything that you feel comfortable sharing.
Oh yeah. Uh there's nothing that's off limits. So about 3 months ago, almost to the day, I went through a painful breakup. It was in November. It was the Friday before Thanksgiving.
Oh,
And yeah, it's
whew,
recent.
that timing too.
Yeah. Well, that was my decision.
Okay.
So it was a short relationship, 2.5 months, but I was super invested in it. He showed up really well in the beginning, but what I didn't know is he had dismissive avoidant tendencies, and I don't know if you're familiar with the attachment styles, but basically they want love. They show up really, really well in the beginning, and I do believe how he showed up in the beginning was real. It wasn't
Yeah.
like a narcissist where it's a fake personality. I think
Hmm.
it's real. But then as that attachment grows, they get scared and say sabotage.
Yeah.
And I had to be with someone that was willing to work on himself, especially because I'm a coach. I can't be with someone, no matter how much I love him, and I loved him dearly, that wasn't willing to change,
Hmm.
wasn't willing to work on himself. Because I was willing to stay if he would go to therapy, and I did tell him that. But when he said no to my ultimatum, ultimately I loved myself more. And so I knew that it was heart-wrenching, and it really shifted my personality. This breakup, it's interesting because it was such a short relationship, but something about it, I mean, I don't know if it's a past life thing or what it was, but something about this really tore me up.
Hmm.
And I'm
How long
normally
were you together?
just 2.5 months.
2.5 months.
That's the
Okay.
crazy
Yeah.
thing.
Hmm.
I mean, I can understand previous relationships, 10 years, a year, 2 years, 6, but 2.5 months? Because I had dated a guy earlier in the years, 2 months while I felt love for him and I was sad. It was like, oh, wow, But what ended up happening is I'm normally really extroverted and I have been very reclusive for the past 3 months on
Mm.
by choice. And the reason I broke up with him the Friday before Thanksgiving is literally everything imploded within a week or so. And because of what I have a psychology background and I've done a lot of research on personality styles and toxic red flags, when I saw and I knew what I was dealing with, I didn't want to just go through the holidays. I knew that this was a deal breaker for
Mm.
me.
Yes. Good for you.
And that was hard, but that was a decision I made. It was best for everyone. Why
Hmm.
I I can be alone on the holidays. I can live with it. You know, Christmas was harder. Thanksgiving wasn't a big deal. I went to a friend's house and we had a great time. Christmas was a little harder, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, the first 2 months, I was completely alone. I normally go out dancing a lot, go and sit in with bands. I'm very, very social, and I just didn't want to be around anyone. And that actually goes to how I used to be when I was a child. When I was a child, I was very introverted, and I became extroverted after being in Mary Kay Cosmetics for 4 years. But that gave me quiet time to really self-reflect, cry, be sad. And even a few weeks into the process, it was like 2 weeks before Christmas, I got really upset with myself. Like, why can't I get over this? Why is this so hard? And so I decided maybe it's what I need, but it can't go on forever. So I gave myself a deadline and I said, you can grieve as hard as you want until the end of the year. January 1st, well, I'm getting some pictures off my phone, and literally 2 hours ago, I was clearing off some of those last pictures. It's been 3 months, and it stirred that pot just this morning. Like,
Yeah.
oh God, I don't miss the anxiety I felt. I don't miss the interactions that happened at the end, but I miss the fun things we did together. I miss those conversations because there were good things about it. But anyway, so after the first of the year, I said, you have to get more serious about moving on. And it was almost like taking the pressure off, kind of released the valve a little bit. And I immediately started to feel better after that. So while I burst into tears at midnight on New Year's Eve, because I was like, the realization hit me, this is it. You have to let them go. You can't hold on anymore. And it's been hard. It's been difficult. And I'm having way better days more often now than I did. Those first 2 months, I was a hot mess. I was all over the place. And I was still like doing podcasts in the middle of this. I'm still running a business. And I had to kind of like, okay, we're not going to cry. You can cry after the podcast episode because who cares if your makeup is messed up and your face is all red, But it was like I had to take a deep breath and put game face on.
Yeah.
Yeah. But here's what happened. I went out after 2 months. I went out a couple of times dancing, and I went to my favorite bar. And every time I went there, something happened that upset me. Whether it was my narcissistic ex that was still hoovering me and is still harassing me a year and a half after the breakup, he started up again. Or there was a confrontation where a friend of mine, an old boyfriend, showed up and we had to physically surround her to protect her from him and his new girlfriend, like drama. And I'm like, I'm so done. I don't want to be around this.
Yeah.
So, and then it progressed from in January that I realized I don't resonate with almost all of my friends here anymore. They haven't done a thing to me. They're being themselves. But because I've been in this intense self-reflection, I started seeing a coach to kind of work through that emotion. And then I started about a month ago seeing an intuitive coach as well. So I'm having theta healing work done in this mastermind. All of a sudden I was like, even my best friend, I don't even resonate with her. So I broke up with her a couple weeks ago. It was this domino effect. But while these are painful experiences, they're good. I'm in this weird place right now, this void where I'm in between. I'm leaving my old life behind. And this is also why I decided to move to Colorado now. I don't have anything keeping me here anymore. And I'm meeting other women in these masterminds who are also into personal development, who want to better themselves. And so I'm starting with new friendships, but I'm leaving behind the old. So I'm kind of in this strange void of being on my own for a little bit.
Ooh, so much here.
There's
so
a
much
lot.
here. Yes. Yes. So one of the things that you shared that I want to kind of highlight is I love that while you were grieving, you were still, showing up for podcasts, running your business, putting your, like you said, a game face on. And I think that is something that a lot of people don't realize, is that while you are grieving, you can still make space to get the stuff done that you can get done. And I'm not sure if you experience this as well, but at the time that you're grieving, you can also still access joy. It's like really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's strange, right? It's like
Right.
you realize that you have the capacity to hold both sides of the spectrum, and it's not like your life isn't over.
Yeah. The beauty is I had a great life. And I think that's really key too, which I didn't do in previous relationships. In this 24, I held on dearly to the life that I had. And that way I had something to walk back to. And I think that's valuable too in your self-validation, your self-love. For sure. And, also in my own podcast and blog, I was documenting some of it in real time.
I
And
love
they're
that.
really, really raw. I recorded a podcast 2 days after the breakup. And I was so raw. You could hear the emotion. I was tearing up during the recording and I left it in. And then I did another recording like 2 months later where I compared where I was then and there and that day and how I got there. And so that actually was healing to me. It was like processing it.
I love that. That audio processing is also sometimes more helpful than doing journaling or anything like that.
Yeah. I talk to
Yeah.
my dog a lot. A lot.
Oh, I love that.
Right? I mean, when I went through my divorce in 2019, and that was, during COVID for hours, because I grieved for 2 years over that marriage.
Yeah.
Hours crying with that dog with his head on my lap, just listening.
Oh, dogs are the best.
Yeah.
That was also perfect timing. Like this breakup that you just explained, where it's right before the holidays, I think that's kind of perfect timing. I mean, it could be, I guess it depends how you look at it. It could be like, oh, that's crap timing. But if it wasn't aligned, that's great timing, because then you can go through the holidays without needing to put your game face on.
Yeah.
And then
and I didn't
breakup,
have to.
yeah, you didn't have to. And then in 2019, like that's right before you would have been locked down together.
I would have killed him. He was an alcoholic, but there would not have been enough alcohol. And I still love him dearly. I mean, actually, I'm on good terms with him. The dog I have was ours. But at the time, I was very angry.
Yeah. So what are some maybe differences between grieving a longer term marriage for you versus this 2-month relationship? Like, what stood out to you as, oh, this is a little different?
I think so. My last marriage is a good example. So I've been married 3 times. Not real proud of that, but that's who I was before. So my last marriage is a good comparison because while the relationship ended up being toxic for me, the man I was married to is actually a really good man. He just had a lot of demons in his life that he couldn't face. And I think what was hard for me was marriage I take pretty seriously. Maybe it doesn't appear that way because I haven't succeeded at it in the past, but I take it very seriously, and that investment level inside myself goes up. I really thought that it was going to be my final marriage, and there were a lot of things in that relationship that were good as well. He treated me with a lot of respect, and he was very chivalrous and romantic. And he did have a kind heart, a very, very good kind heart. And I still wish him deeply well. But yeah, with marriage, let alone all the red tape you have to go through, I think it's harder to walk away.
Yeah, your lives are so entangled. I mean, you're legally bound to each other. You know, you
Yeah.
probably have shared like accounts, shared like loans, and like it's all this like extra legal stuff. Maybe a shared last name.
Yeah. I didn't with that one. But I think also it can feel more personal.
Yeah.
One of the things that kind of pushed me to do what I needed to do is I was in the process of buying a house, and we
Mm-hmm.
were legally separated. But because I was getting a government loan, even though we were still legally married in the government's eyes. And so his debt was going to count against me. And it was something I
Mm,
knew I needed to do anyway. It was file for divorce.
yeah.
But when I did it, I think he took it wrong. Like he took it that, oh, you're choosing a house over me. When it wasn't that, I was choosing stability. And
Mm,
so when you're in just a relationship, even if you're living together, you don't have all that sticky legality stuff going on. And I think it adds to the emotion because there was a part
mm,
of me that felt bad about that.
yeah.
Um, but I had to put me first, and I do think, like with this last relationship I just ended, I saw a long-term future. It hadn't it hadn't materialized yet because I did want to get married again, and I do still want to
Mm-hmm.
get married. I'm just being a lot more picky than I used to be. But it hadn't happened yet. And I think that's, even though it hurt me badly, I was able to get over it quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Does that help? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. I think there's also a layer of like with divorce, it's like you're losing more than a relationship. You're kind of losing family, because when you're married, you're technically now family, and like your partner's side of the family is now your family as well. So like you're not just losing a husband or a wife, you're also
Mm-hmm.
losing their entire family.
Sorry that if you hear that, that's my dog. I forgot to put his water up.
It's okay.
I'm looking over like, oh crap, that's my fault.
It
But
might
yeah,
not show up in the recording.
okay.
Like it might be muted. Yeah.
Um, yeah, for some people that's definitely a thing. It wasn't for me. I really
Okay.
didn't get along with his
Yeah.
family.
Okay. Yeah.
But that is definitely, I've heard a lot of stories of other women that, oh my gosh, I still love my mother-in-law, my father-in-law,
Yeah.
especially if they have kids too. Then I didn't have children with
Yeah.
it. That
Yeah.
also kind of muddies the water a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. I also just want to say that I think there's such a stigma around people who have multiple marriages. And I don't think, like you said, I haven't succeeded in marriage. I don't think ending a marriage means you've succeeded. I don't think, let me say that again. I don't think ending a marriage means you have not succeeded. I think it
Right.
means you have succeeded because you're like, okay, this isn't a fit. Let's part ways. Like to me, that is success. Because the
True.
opposite would be like just making it work and like it's not like true. It's not
Yeah.
aligned. And that would be
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was miserable as much as I loved my last husband.
Yeah.
In the end, it was difficult because at that time he was still drinking and very heavily, and he was getting fired regularly, like every
Oh,
6
that's
months,
so
like
tough.
clockwork. And I
Yeah.
had reached on my limit. My credit cards were maxed out, and because I was paying all the bills in these in
God,
between
how
job
stressful.
times,
Mm-hmm.
major stressful. And I couldn't do it anymore. And quite
Yeah.
frankly, sometimes divorce is a way of holding them accountable and gives them the opportunity for change.
Yeah. Yeah. Because if you would have just stayed, you would have like enabled him to continue that
Right.
behavior. Yeah.
And I would have held myself back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. So when you first shared your breakup and then your marriage, I remembered like there was so much there that I wanted to ask you about. So I'm saying that out loud in case anything comes back because it's all floated out of my mind.
Okay.
But I remember one of the things that you said was like about a friend breakup, and I don't
Yeah.
think that's anything we've talked about on this show yet, but
Mm-mm.
it's definitely a very real thing that is very hard to go through. And I feel like sometimes shame can come up in that as well because it's, especially if it's somebody, I mean, I don't know the details of this friendship that you talked about, but especially if it's someone that you like grew up with or you have a lot of history with, like there's a lot of, there could be a lot of pressure to just stay friends. Like they, especially like you said, they didn't do anything wrong. They're just being themselves. So, what are some of the struggles you went through before doing that friend breakup?
I think this has been the hardest one for me. Well, I actually had to do a lot of this back when I was stalked by my ex-husband that was narcissistic, the second one. But so this is a realization I've had through some journaling that when I did this 11 years ago, I had to cut off everybody in Colorado that I knew there for my own personal safety as well as mental health. And even though I felt bad about that, I was able to get over that quicker. And what I realized is that I have to prioritize my mental health just as much as my physical safety. And what's been particularly hard with this one is because she's an amazing woman, like beautiful inside and out. She's giving, she's loving, she's been cheering me on. But I realized through this whole breakup thing that I think what convoluted it was too is she was a personal friend of his. And so I relied heavily.
Oh, yeah.
I relied heavily on her opinion of him. I
Yeah.
met him a year before through her. And I texted her the morning after I ran into him on a chance meeting. I texted her the next morning and told her. And, oh, I have nothing bad to say about it. Now, one hand, there's no way she could have known he was a dismissive avoidant because she didn't live with him. I was living with him by the end of that relationship. She couldn't have known that.
Yeah, you see
But
a
what it
complete
highlighted
different side of a person when you live with them.
Yeah.
Like, even if you're dating them for a long time, but you don't live together yet, there's parts of that person that you have not seen. Yes.
Yes. So I don't blame her for that. But what I started to notice, and in those couple of times I did go out to my favorite bar, I saw other people in her close inner circle, and I started to notice there was a lot of dysfunctional people around her that I didn't want to be around.
That's a red
They're
flag.
not bad people. Not bad people at all. And I want to clarify that. None of them did anything to me. It's a lot easier to end a friendship when you're angry because they've done something that's crossed a boundary. And that wasn't this. And then I realized we were out to dinner one night. I needed to talk about the breakup, and we went out to dinner, and we live in a small town. And yes, there is a lack of available men, and especially available quality men. That is a reality. I don't allow that to affect my choices. I choose to either be single or just wait for the right one. But anyway, she's like, well, can't you just give him another chance? There's not a lot around here. And I was shocked. Like, I was immediately like shaking my head.
That's an awful reason, just because there's not a lot of options. What the?
I was like, absolutely not. Because I used to do that. And I told him, you were the first person I'm not doing this with. I'm not doing this because nothing's changed. And what I realized was I can't go to her for advice anymore. I would not trade my lifestyle for hers because her dating choices I don't agree with.
Yeah.
And we have no foundation anymore. If I can't go to you for advice, if I'm turned off by the people around you, if I'm feeling like your lifestyle's not in alignment with mine, it's not right or wrong. It's just not in alignment.
Yeah.
This is holding me back. And I'm starting, one of the things I said to her that night is if I'm going to rise and be with the cream, I can't be with the skim milk. Not towards her, but towards other people.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I would never want to burn her because and to go back to your original question, there's been a ton of guilt about this, a ton of it. And I have those two coaches that I'm working with. And this has come up frequently over these past couple of weeks, working through it. And one of the masterminds I'm in is called Unapologetic Woman. And what she said to me was, you don't have to apologize for choosing you. Yeah. It's okay that people won't understand. It's okay if they're hurt by your boundary. And I've had to really work with that and journal with that. Yeah. I wish her well. And my hope is as if she continues to watch my business grow and sees the change that I've done and continue, she's always welcome to come back.
Yeah.
I'm not blocking her. I'm not saying you're never going to be my friend again. I'm saying for right now, I need to
Yeah.
move on.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes taking that break is like what's needed. And I love that it's done in a way where it's like, I just hear the love because, you're emphasizing that, she's not a bad person. She's always welcome
Mhm.
back. And I hope that she's watching and, maybe even getting inspired by what you're doing. And,
Mhm.
yeah, that's so hard because when we work on personal development, it can be very difficult when all the people around us aren't also working on personal development. And then, yeah, you have to start like pruning friendships or at least like changing the dynamics of certain friendships. Like maybe your best friend becomes someone you just have coffee with once in a while if everything else is aligned. And what I'm very excited about for you is like in these masterminds, like that's where you'll find your new friends, your like more aligned friends.
Mhm.
And hopefully where you're moving, hopefully they're there in person. I think Colorado is pretty big on that, like depending on where in Colorado you're
Yeah.
moving to.
I was in
Yeah.
Denver, Boulder area for 8 years. And
Yeah.
so
There's a
I'm
lot
going to
of stuff.
Durango.
Yeah.
There's very much people are into health.
Yeah.
They're very much into personal development and it's just a fresh perspective, something. And I'm going home. I mean, there's a whole other dynamic
Oh, nice.
to
That's
this
such a full
Colorado.
circle.
So I did not want to leave Colorado 10 years ago. And because I was stalked by my ex-husband and I did feel my safety was compromised, and that hasn't changed. That has not changed. While I
Mm,
haven't heard from him in the longest time that there's been no attempts that I have seen, and I hope it stays that way. I left in fear, and now
mm,
I'm going back in power. Yeah, there's still some underlying fear. I wouldn't lie if I said, yeah, I'm a little nervous about this,
mm-hmm.
but Colorado's home to me, and my heart is there.
Yeah.
I'm okay with not going back to Denver. It's crazy. The crime has gone up. It's a big city. I grew up in DC. I don't want that lifestyle. Durango's
Yeah.
perfect because it's a little bit bigger of a town than where I'm at, but not so big that I'm going to be in traffic all the time and people are rude like the East Coast. So this is taking my power back. This is another full circle. Like you will not control where I live. I mean, while he's never told me you can't come back, in my head, he's been controlling me for all these years because of my fear.
Mm. I love that you're going back. I'm celebrating that for you so much, especially
Thank you.
since it feels like home and like you didn't even want to leave in the first place.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I think you'll be fine. I mean, it's been a decade. Hopefully he's moved on. Maybe he's stalking someone else now.
Well, with narcissists, you never know. Sometimes
Mm,
they do give up. What they call a narcissistic injury. You just, the no contact and just they can't handle rejection. And I laid it
mm,
thick because I don't want anything to do with them. I don't want anything to do with him. Some give up, some don't.
yeah,
So it's a mixed bag, but I can't let that drive my decisions.
yeah,
You know, he's not going to get me. That I'm done. I mean, when I left 10 years ago, while I was holding my no contact boundary, I was also fragile and still pretty raw. And I didn't 100% trust myself
mm,
to hold it for
mm,
good. Now I'm like, oh no, no,
yeah.
I'm done with that. I'm over that. Ship has sailed.
I can really see your strength in choosing yourself first and setting
Hmm.
boundaries.
Yeah.
And I would love to know what you would like to share for listeners to make it easier to both choose themselves and to set healthy boundaries.
Yeah. Choose yourself. I think that's really the first step is just making a decision to
Mm-hmm.
choose yourself. One thing that really helped me is reading John Kim's book, Single on Purpose. And it
Ooh.
talks about getting to know yourself. I love John Kim. He's known as the angry therapist. I love him. And one of the things he talks about in that book is really getting to know who you are, because you can't love someone you don't know.
Mm.
And so I take myself out on weekly dates, and I was actually just journaling this morning for my coach about boundaries I'm going to hold in future relationships. And one of them is I'm going to continue to do that, because I have not been good about that when I'm dating someone. Find out what you enjoy, because sometimes we forget, or we give it up, or we don't know. What is it? Is it gardening? Is it going to museums? Whatever it is, I'd say once a week, do something for you.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you're healing from a breakup, sometimes those moments, investing in yourself, is kind of like a little bit of a salve on the wound. You're investing in you. And I think as you continue to do that, that's going to make that process easier. And be okay with not being okay. That was a big lesson this time. Like, I'm a
Mm-hmm.
coach. I'm not supposed to be doing this, but the truth is I'm a human being. And
Yeah.
it's not some magic wand. This doesn't say that my life isn't difficult. So accept that grief. Put a time limit on it, but allow it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to get up and you want to lay in bed all day, and you don't, don't lose your job over it now. But if it's a Saturday, and even if you have to say to a friend, maybe you're supposed to have coffee with, I can't do it today, but let's schedule for later. It's okay to do
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love that you said that you can't love someone you don't know. So getting
Mm-hmm.
to know yourself really helps you deepen that connection with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then the consistent weekly dates is also a big one. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It can sometimes for some people, and even my past self, feel very awkward to take yourself out on a date. Specifically, I would say to go to the movies alone or go to a restaurant alone can be really awkward. Luckily, when I started doing that, I was living in New York City, and you see people alone all the time. So it made it a little easier. But did you go through that? Have you felt awkward taking yourself out to a place on your own?
Mm-hmm. Dinners haven't been so much because I traveled sometimes for work, and I love exploring new restaurants. So I had kind of already done it, even when I was married and I would travel alone for business. But I
Yeah.
will say, I know a couple times I've gone to the rodeo, and here, because it's kind of old school, it's all couples and families. And I was like, ooh,
Oh.
this feels so weird. But tomorrow's Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
So I decided to celebrate the love for myself, and I bought a ticket to a comedy show. It's like a Whose Line Is It Anyway type
Oh
of
my gosh, how
show.
fun. Like an improv show?
Yeah, it's an improv
Cool.
show.
How fun.
And I'll probably be the only single person in the room. There's a little bit of okay, it's going to be weird. But at the same time, I'm like, no, I'm taking myself out to dinner. I'm going out. I am not going to be all like, oh, no one loves me. I'm not,
Yeah.
because I've stopped seeking that outside validation.
Yes. Ugh, I celebrate that so much. And that sounds like such a fun way to celebrate Valentine's Day. I'm like, if I lived in Arizona, I'd be like, can I come with you?
Yeah, right? And I didn't invite, there are a couple of people that I'm still in contact with. But I decided it was just something I did want to be by myself,
Yeah.
and what better way to laugh at it and make fun of it,
Yeah. Yeah. Was there a time where you felt uncomfortable being single? Yeah.
Yeah. So
What do
20
you
years
think?
ago,
Oh, go
yeah,
ahead.
go ahead. I was going to say, 20 years ago, I was codependent. I couldn't
Okay.
be single. And part of that, when I met my second husband, I was still married and with my first husband. And I realized from the age of 16 to 45, I went from one relationship to another. I was never alone. I was always starting one,
Mm,
ending one, getting,
yeah.
in one. Yeah.
So my follow-up question to that was going to be, what do you think shifted that to
I had
feel
to do a lot.
comfortable? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I had to do a lot of inner work, and I'm still working on that. And I think a big part of it was insecurity. Codependency is insecurity. I had abandonment issues, which I'm still working through. Also, I wasn't able to see myself as a whole person by myself. I
Mm,
saw this person filling a void
mm-hmm.
versus them just adding to my life. They're a bonus. I don't need them. Yes, I do
Yes.
want a partner. I'm single right now. Yeah, I want a partner, but I don't need one anymore. I used to
Yes.
need it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the key to switch from that. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Because when we need a partner, that's when we go into those codependent habits of stopping doing what we enjoy for fun, stopping hanging out with our own friends, and instead just with our partner's friends. Like, we start to become a shell of a human being if we come from that place of need rather than already being whole and complete.
Yeah, and that goes back to that when I said about doing the weekly date, whether I'm in a relationship or not. Because a couple of years ago, I
Yes.
was in a relationship and I neglected my friends, and I won't do that anymore. And that's also too,
Yeah.
not only do I want time for myself, but I have to
Mm-hmm.
hold a boundary of having time for my friends. And I expect him to do the same thing.
Yeah. I think it's also a huge green flag if your partner actually encourages you to go hang out with your friends by yourself. I remember
Yes.
my husband does that now, but the person I dated before my husband, he was the first person that ever did that. And I'm like, oh, I'm like allowed to go hang out with my friends without you?
Yeah.
Great. Thanks. Like, that's a huge green flag, because then you both grow. And I think the more time you spend together with your partner, I think it's a detriment to the relationship. If you can have
Yeah.
separate experiences, then it creates like you miss each other. It creates like, I feel like it
Hmm.
creates attraction. It creates more attraction if it's the right person, obviously. If it's an abusive situation, then that's different.
Yeah, and I think it takes the pressure off because we can't be their everything, and they
Yeah.
can't be mine. And then when
Yes.
we separate ourselves, that's what happens.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Um, there were definitely a few more questions I wanted to ask you, but they've all floated out of my brain. And I know that when I watch this recording, I'm going to be like, oh, I want to ask her a question about this, about that. So, yeah, there are no questions in my mind. So I'll just see if there's anything else before we like wrap up. Anything else you wanted to be sure to share for someone who's listening, who's either going through a romantic relationship breakup or even a friend breakup, since we talked about both of those topics today.
Hmm. There's a couple of things. One is, it goes back to your reminder about my marriages ending. It's not a failure. I used to always think that, like, I was thinking more of relationships, but I need to include divorces in this as well for myself.
Mm-hmm.
So, a quote unquote failed relationship, I realize isn't a failure. It's a learning experience.
Yes.
My relationships last year, I had two, and both of them were around the 2-month mark. I've never had relationships that short before, but it was a success because I learned so much about myself. Definitely take time in between. That time's
Yeah.
going to be different for every relationship, depending on the length and how invested or upset or hurt you are. There's no right or wrong answer, but definitely don't go from one relationship to the next. Get off the apps 100%. Don't even think about, oh, maybe in the future I'll date this guy. I'll just be his friend for right now, because you're not totally removing yourself. That
Mm-hmm.
has been so valuable because it gave me time after each relationship to not accept their behavior or take responsibility for it, but look at my part. Like, what inside me was lacking that I need to heal because they were attractive to me in the first place? What is it about me I can change and do better next time? So
Mm-hmm.
that's one thing. The other thing is that healing's messy. I am still healing. I will always be healing from the narcissistic abuse that I had and the trauma I had as a child. But I can get better every day and do better. And yes, I make mistakes. I'm going to make more, but I have to be gentle with myself and say tomorrow's day one. I can start over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's also there's a lot of healing that you do in between, like you said, to take that space in between. But what I've also found interesting is healing doesn't stop when you're dating someone or married to someone. So, as a last question before we go into where people can connect with you, with this last relationship, was there anything that you think you healed, even if it was just a little bit?
I will say that when I'm in a relationship, I get triggered way more. And I think
Yeah.
that's always going to be. So I think for me, it was realizing what I healed was my ability to understand that the conversations were not productive.
Mm.
So it's not how often you fight, it's how you fight. And when so I was just watching a video last night on Facebook about how it's an opportunity to have a conversation where that wasn't happening. I had to
Mm.
recognize some of the triggers were mine, some of them weren't. They were coming from that other person, not intentionally, but his his insecurities, his inability to take accountability, his inability to communicate in a productive manner were triggering me, and they should, because I had to learn this
Mm.
is a red flag, and red flags, when they become a pattern, become deal breakers.
Yes. That's a great invitation for listeners of like, when is a trigger because of your past trauma, and then therefore I think it's an opportunity to like look within and heal something. But then also, when is a trigger coming up because you're not being treated kindly?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've never thought of triggers being two separate things like that. So thanks for sharing that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah. For the people watching, where can they connect with you online, and also share with us anything that you want to share about your work?
Yeah. So you can go to my website. That is highvaluewoman.info. I've got all my social media links there. My podcast is there as well. I am super excited. Uh, uh, the most recent or upcoming thing that's coming up is my workshop, and it's called Reclaiming Your Worth. And it's a 2-hour workshop and then afterwards you get a 30-minute session with me privately. And that's really about that self-love concept of, I'm the woman that, why does this keep happening? Why do I keep finding toxic people? Or I'm in a relationship and I want to leave, but I'm not sure I can.
Mm.
We're going to talk about that. And I customize it. I have a little questionnaire for everyone because I don't want this cookie cutter. I'm talking at you. It's interactive, and I want it to be different every time, depending on who's there. So that's my super exciting thing that I'm moving into. But yeah, I've got some book projects. I've got some collaborative books that are coming out later this year. So I just invite you to keep watching, join, and check it out.
Cool. Those links will be in the show notes. And a final question that I actually forgot to ask you in the beginning, but that's perfect, is what is your favorite part about being a woman?
Oh, my favorite part. Well, there is the cliche, I can change my mind, which I do often. Wow, I never thought of it that way. Um, Maybe because I feel like I'm a woman with a lot of testosterone and tenacity. When I do things that typically are male oriented, like when I learn to ride a motorcycle or I hike 14ers, the reaction I get, I think is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Oh, you hiked a 14er by yourself? I'm like, yeah. But as a woman, people see it as more of an accomplishment than they do a man.
Mm. Yes. Cool. I love asking this question because no one says an answer that someone else has said, and I've asked this question to like 100 women already.
I love it.
So
I've never been asked that. So.
yeah, cool. I love that. Okay, I'm gonna stop.